Welcome to Sliders and Wings, the podcast about the TV show Sliders
and the TV show Wings
and all the other forgotten TV shows of the 90s.
I'm Valerie Temple.
And I'm Rachel Cox.
Yeah, baby, that's us.
Okay, so then we should just come up with what happens after I say, and I'm Rachel Cox. You'll say, yeah, baby, that's us.
Yeah, baby, that's us. You've been waiting for us. Here we are.
We are going to talk about Models, Inc., which it's going to be interesting because we watched it months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Due to a scheduling conflict, and we're only now recording it today. It'll be like my mom trying to describe a movie she watched, or like me, I guess, trying to describe something I watched.
Poor moms. They were always like, what is the name? Who is that?
I understand now because I've only been a mom for 7 years and my brain is already fried. So in 10 years, it's going to be gone.
Oh, no, it's just atrophied.
They call it mom brain.
I know, I've heard.
Usually that's because when you're pregnant, you're just out of it, but it lasts forever.
These are the things they don't tell you.
They should be telling me this in sex education.
That's right. Don't have babies because it'll make you stupid.
Models Inc., I assume is a famous show. I mean, in my mind, it's incredibly famous and well known. I have to take a poll to find out how well known it is.
Maybe we should start doing polls. That would be a good idea.
Polling is hard. It's expensive.
Yeah, you're right.
Unless we're like man on the street polling.
Just like holding microphones up to people.
You look old. Do you remember Models Inc.?
What do you know about Models Inc.? Anything? To me, it was like a huge deal because I watched 90210 and then I watched Melrose Place also kind of. And then the advertising for this show was the event of the century, very dramatic. And to me, I'm waiting for this. I have to watch the first episode of this show. And
it should have been huge because the whole era of the supermodel was in the 90s. It's funny because we didn't know we were going to do Models Inc. tonight, but you and I were discussing being scouted as skinny teenagers.
I know. I was like,
week.
Well, since we've established that we are both potential models, we can talk about this very intelligently.
You just read a lot of Harper's Bazaar when I was 15.
When I was 12, I had a subscription to W magazine.
Me too.
No.
You could get them for almost nothing. I mean,
yes,
10 cents.
I think that was it for me too. My mom got like a cheap subscription to something and she like handed me this sheet. It was kind of like a Scholastic book fair kind of thing where it was this sheet of options and I was supposed to pick out what I wanted. Somehow I picked W magazine. I don't know. I have no idea how I landed on it, but I fully had a subscription to that for a full year when I was 12 and read it cover to cover because that's what I do. If I start reading a book, I have to finish it even though I hate it. And I
never read one article in W magazine. I'm impressed.
I read magazines cover to cover, even the little information about how much things cost. Like that. This is a sickness. I can't control it.
It must take so long. It's like a book.
When I had a subscription to The New Yorker, it was almost like a job.
I think my dad used to give me his old ones. And if I read one of the features in there, I was like, yes. Because I keep a list of every book I read. And okay, well, I can't put a magazine in there. But, you know, if you were to read McSweeney's, those should count as books. And a W magazine, I argue, should also count as a book.
I do remember tearing out a page from W of a model that I thought looked exactly like me.
Oh.
So I was like, this is me. Like I kept it.
So I also had a subscription to Interview magazine. Did not know who Andy Warhol was or had any reference. I must have just picked it out of a hat. But it introduced me to so many New York subculture people. There's a couple that was always in Vanity Fair W in the little
society pages.
Society pages. And she would wear these crazy outfits and he was a bodybuilder. He was like a performance artist or something and she'd like big lips and crazy hair.
I don't know who this is but I gotta know. That was also a weird thing for me as a 12-year-old in Columbus, Ohio, with a subscription to W magazine. Half of that magazine is rich society people from New York. And I'm reading this cover to cover, all of these articles or features about art museum opening or a Met Gala or what have you. And I'm just like, And like all of the people who are featured, most of them are not fashion designers or models. They are just the rich people.
But those are fun because they're like, where's Waldo? Because every 20th person is
someone you would know.
Models Inc. was only on for one season. It was on Fox.
Which is incredible to me. Can you imagine the sound of this flop? It smacked into the ground and exploded. That's how big of a dud it was.
It's the third series in the Beverly Hills 90210 franchise. 90210, and then it was
Melrose Place.
And then this was a spinoff of that because Heather Locklear's character from Melrose Place, Amanda Woodward, the woman who runs the modeling firm played by Linda Gray, is supposed to be her mom. Produced by Aaron Spelling. It's the only series in the Beverly Hills 90210 franchise not to receive a DVD release.
Oh, so really? Big shock. Although if they did release it on DVD, I would buy it.
But the biggest famous person on this show, like right after this, she was in The Matrix.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yes. And she plays, basically the whole pilot is that one of the models falls or gets pushed off a roof or something. And then the whole season, it's a whodunit.
Who killed this model? And they all have motivation. There's a myriad of reasons that every single character would have wanted this lady dead.
But the protagonist is a new model who's supposed to be kind of the audience stand-in, who's played by Cassidy Ray.
Sarah Owens is her name, her character's name, which is just, how sweet.
And she's supposed to be like fresh off the bus. Premise in this show is that the top girls at a particular agency get to stay in the house that they own that's on the beach. In the premiere, which is the one we watched, she gets selected to move into that house. And then at a party at the end of the show is when the girl falls off the roof.
Yeah, something happens.
And everyone's a suspect. Half these people are too short to be models. The Australian one's too short, Cassidy Ray's too short, and she has flipper arms.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's two short arms.
That's the problem with every TV show about models, is that they just cast actresses and they just look like actresses. This Sarah Owens character, she's a very pretty woman, but she looks like an actress.
And it's so dumb that we make these distinctions because they're both just different shades of incredibly attractive people.
That is correct. But it just still sticks out because this is a world of models, but they don't actually look like the models that you know.
I think the one who dies probably was a model because she was such a terrible actress. Tip off.
I read that she played Jackie Kennedy in the Kevin Costner movie 13 Days. So she did more acting after this. She looked kind of like Brooke Shields, I thought.
I'm looking at my notes after not seeing them for months, and I wrote, Grant Show is so cute.
You think Grant Show's cute? No, I don't think so. Not for me.
Clearly I do. I wrote it. I wrote, there's so much saxophone.
Yes.
But we don't realize how much saxophone usage has dropped off in
the
2000s.
It's a shame.
If you watch St. Elmo's Fire, the Rob Lowe character is a saxophone player.
I know, which is my favorite. Oh my God. It's so funny. He's clearly not playing the saxophone, but it's like very sexy.
And I wrote that the guy that plays David, so David works at the modeling agency and he's the head of the modeling agency whose name I can't remember. He's her son, but he's also romantically interested in Sarah, and they're just incredibly boring. And I wrote, oh my God, he is so boring and he looks like Steve Irwin. All my notes are lookalikes. The Australian one looks like Taylor Dane.
I don't know how Aaron Spelling does this. His casting department is exceptional at finding the floppiest hair. All of the actors have such floppy hair, but they all have the same kind of body type. You can tell that they're fit and they're wearing these huge 90s suits or jackets. They're wide and square and big floppy hair. That's what all of them look like. And the only difference is shades of colors of hair. David's got sandy hair, but then the other guy, he's a brunette, and the other guy's a brunette, but kind of curly, you know. They all look sort of interchangeable to me.
Although if I tried to think of what the average man's hair looks like now, I can't even think of it.
I guess if I had to draw a picture, like one of those police sketches for a guy of today, I would probably do some sort of beard.
I feel like a guy who's on TV has longish hair, but it is not slicked back, but it's put up with something. So it kind of forms a wall. I think we're going to look back and that's going to look silly. For example, in Ted Lasso, his hair is up and back like a little wall,
Yeah.
but not
Yes.
shiny. So it doesn't look slicked back. I think that's very common hair.
That hair, it's sort of a grow out of that tight Proud Boy look that people were doing before the Proud Boys took it over. I think maybe Adam Paley is probably the prototypical guy of today. A little scruffy, a little messy.
I feel like what you're describing with the guys on the model Zinc, that was just 90s hair, kind of shaggier in your face.
It's fully just flowing in the wind.
I'm just saying what all these actors look like. Linda Gray looks like Liza Minnelli.
She does.
The Australian one looks like 7 of 9.
Jerry Ryan. Linda Gray, what was distracting was just the amount of eyeliner she was wearing. It was fully encircling her eyes. Do people do that anymore? Or just line it? It was a smoky eye, but a full ring of it.
Raccoon eyes. There were some ads in the YouTube.
Yeah.
So one was for The Air Up There, starring Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
And one was for the OJ trial.
I know. My most 90s thing for this episode is Models Inc. is brought to you by Fruitopia.
Yeah, this is definitely the most 90s show we've ever done because I wrote 3 things. I couldn't decide what was the most 90s.
I have so many. There was an ad for Party of 5. There was an AT&T ad about future technology, which featured a 90s idea of Zoom and Alexa. All of the fashion, all of the haircuts, it was just soup to nuts 90s.
Here's my list of 90s things. The fashion show finale is set to Sting's Fields of Barley. And I said, I never realized until this moment that this was the most 90s song of all time. But then they get to the party and they're listening to Gloria Estefan's Live for Loving You.
Oh my God.
And I was like, wait, no, never mind. That's the most 90s. And then there was a CoverGirl ad with Amber Valletta. And then I said, maybe just the blazers. Even at the fashion show, everyone's wearing blazers. And then I said, I think maybe just models are the most 90s thing because it was the era of the supermodel. In the finale fashion show, someone's wearing a choker. I had so many chokers, so many velvet chokers.
I loved a choker. I actually got a whole bunch of my stuff from my mom's house. Just basically saved everything that had been in my room. And I needed to like get it out of her house. She's like, you got to pick this up. And I was like, Mom, if I left it at your house, it means I don't want it. I've not lived in your house for decades now. You can just throw it out, but my mom won't do that. She's like, you have to take it out of her house to throw it out yourself. So I took all of these boxes back to my house, and it was sort of an archaeological expedition into my youth. Oh, whoa, there's a lot of weird stuff in here. Oh, I remember this. I remember this. I found an old choker, which then I reintegrated into my actual wardrobe. I was like, oh, I'm just going to wear this.
I definitely had a puka shell necklace.
Oh God, I never did. But I did have a crush, a middle school crush on a guy. He was in 8th grade. I was in 7th grade. And he had a puka shell necklace. He was on my bus. He would hold court on the bus. He had a book of Mad Libs that he would engage the whole bus into like getting suggestions. And I was like, this guy has it. This guy, the charisma, and the puka shell necklace is basically glinting in my eyes. I'm like, oh, what if I give him a good suggestion for Mad Libs? Will he notice me?
Oh my God, that guy sounds so cool.
I know. He actually turned out really cool too. In middle school, very short blonde, very floppy 90s hair, puka shell necklace, extremely cute. Exactly what you want. Exactly what you want. And then he left for high school, and then I was still in middle school. And then I went to high school, and then he was at the same high school as me. And in the year or two since I had seen him, he had transformed into basically a Kurt Cobain lookalike. He wore these giant floppy sweaters, and he had a band. Basically was middle school cute and then super, super high school cute. And I was like, oh my God, I can't handle this guy. He's too much.
My favorite outfit was Linda Gray wore a brown striped business suit with a super long jacket.
Yes.
She looked like Diane Keaton.
My favorite outfit, I think, was when they were exercising and Sarah was wearing these shorts that looked sort of like a diaper, not flattering at all on anybody. I was like, these 90s looks did not. I know that 90s are back. People wear 90s inspired clothes now, but they've really like made adjustments.
Yeah, they're not, it's not as loose. I mean,
Right.
I think they're looser than the previous style, but they're not as loose in the hips as they were originally. The whole vibe feels like a parody. It feels like
Oh yeah.
the Great Muppet Caper when Miss Piggy becomes a model.
Yes.
Junior, darling.
Oh, iconic movie. Oh, so good. I was thinking about that movie a lot actually because of the recent passing of Charles Grodin.
There she is, Miss Piggy. All I ever wanted was you, a dream come true.
By the way, did you know
we have a book? That's how I know it so well, because we've got a picture book of.
Oh my God. It's such a good movie. Did you know that during the filming of Beethoven, Charles Grodin was 56 and Bonnie Hunt, who played his wife, was 29.
I think I have to give that a rewatch. Oh my God.
Well, what's crazy is that I looked it up. They look the same age. There's not like a May December thing happening. He has just always looked middle-aged.
She just kind of feel a little bit older.
Yeah, yeah. And the 90s look also was kind of aging to people. She had these kind of blunt bangs. She's wearing those jeans.
Accent corner.
Oh, there's so many.
Kylie Travis is British but pretending to be Australian. Cameron Daddo is Australian and pretending to be American. The photographer is British, and I think he's actually being British.
Julie Dante, who's the bitchy model. She's the one who I think you said looked like Jerry Ryan.
And Taylor Dane. And she's only 5'6".
What are they trying to pull on us? It's filmed, so they're like, no one will ever know. We can tell. They're in wide shots. They don't look tall.
I would like to find out now who did kill this girl. I guess I could just probably find online.
Yeah, we could go on Wikipedia. That's why I would buy that box set. I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know if all the other episodes are on
YouTube. I don't think so. Oh, also for 90s looks, that cute Asian photographer's assistant was wearing a tank top and vest combo.
Oh God. Do you think that guy was supposed to be like, I mean, the way they talked about him, he was supposed to be some A-name Mario Testino, super famous. But what was so funny is that there's a subplot where Julie is trying to get this famous photographer to just do photos of her because then she'll just hit big time or something, which it seems strange because it always seems like she's a successful model. And I guess the only way to do that is to basically have sex with this guy. So she finagles her way into his studio and
his pants.
Has sex with him, and then he says, come back, and he does this whole shoot with her, and she goes to pick them up, and then the assistant tells her he never even had film in the camera.
When he was taking the photos in the first place, she comes back, she's like, remember me? It's like, oh yeah, whatever. She goes onto the set and starts posing, and he just could not have been more bored. He's like, okay, done. She's like, oh, is that it? Those photos weren't going to look good even if he had film in the camera. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the whole episode was just a collage of the dramas of models, which just includes sexual harassment, sexual assaults.
The model and actress Garcelle Bouvet joins this season. Oh, okay. I'm trying to skim to see who kills her, but it's a lot of stuff to read.
No.
I'll have to do it later. I don't think it happens at the very end. I just read the description of the last episode and it wasn't mentioned, so they must have resolved her death by then. What's your Mad magazine? There's a pretty obvious one.
Oh, Models Stink.
Models Stink. I also have Models on the Brink.
Ooh.
And I have Models Inc., I-N-K, and they all work at a tattoo parlor.
That would be the show of today. Like they're all Instagram models, or what was the name of that alt girl website? What was it called?
Suicide Girls.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
I was never into these. They're soap operas, right?
Yes.
I've only briefly been into soap operas. They get so boring after a while. I can't imagine being into any of them long term.
I was very into 90210. I definitely watched it. I think I was in middle school when it started. And so I fully watched it basically as a research project. I was like, this is what it's going to be like. I'm prepping for high school. It wasn't what it was like at all. I got in the habit of watching that show. And then Aaron Spelling was very good at bridging the shows so that if you were watching 90210, they had a storyline with Jenny Garth who had a weird romance with Grant Show on 90210, and that's how they sort of launched Melrose Place, which was, if you think about it now, she's 16 and he's this 20 something living in an apartment building. You're like, that's kind of gross, but all right. They did the same thing with this show as well. Daphne Zuniga and Grant Show, I think, are in this episode.
Right, yeah, she works there or something, or she's at the party.
Daphne Zuniga was at the party. Grant Show did something.
A Druish princess.
Yes. My favorite Daphne Zuniga performance is in, I feel like, little scene movie, but very good, called The Sure Thing, a John Cusack movie that is is Rob Reiner wrote and directed it, and it is loosely based on the movie It Happened One Night. It's like a road trip where John Cusack and Daphne Zuniga are college students, and it's spring break or something, and John Cusack is trying to get to California because his best friend Anthony Edwards has assured him that there's a girl there that is a sure thing.
I think I've seen it. If not, I've seen the box a lot of times.
Yes.
At a certain point, I can't tell the difference between being familiar with the box and being familiar with actually seeing it. But I've seen almost every John Cusack movie, so I'm sure.
He was a big deal for me. I really liked John.
Better Off Dead. I've seen it a million times.
Oh my God, yeah.
I can't go near a ski slope without thinking about Better Off Dead.
Do you try to snort that snow?
French fries. French toast.
If you haven't seen The Sure Thing, you should watch it. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Well, I was just adding a bunch of stuff to my Canopy account when the Free Library of Philadelphia announced not giving us the free Canopy anymore. So.
Oh man.
There's one Aaron Spelling question I have.
Yes.
This always comes to mind when he or Tori Spelling are mentioned. There was that story that was floating around that was clearly placed that Tori Spelling got the role of Donna, but nobody knew that she was his daughter.
Yeah, she auditioned under a fake name or something. Come on. No one believes this.
I do not want to shame anyone's looks, but like, look at the cast of 90210. Which one is the producer's daughter? Which of these things is not like the other?
Do you remember Randy Spelling?
Yes. What was that other show that was a parody of behind the scenes of 90210? Do you know what I'm talking about? It was on the WB and the theme song was Sex Bomb. Grosse Pointe.
Oh, yes.
It was created by Darren Star. Lindsay Sloan was on it. And William Ragsdale.
Oh.
Who was on Herman's Head.
That's right. That's right. I met Randy Spelling when I was in high school, actually. There was like some sort of litter pickup that Columbus was doing. And for some reason, they brought in the cast of Passions to participate. It was my junior year of high school. And we were all working on this giant paper that we had to write, our junior paper. It was 20 pages long. We had to write this big paper. And we also had to, as part of it, we had to write 200 note cards for our research part of it. And our teacher said, well, if you go to the litter pickup, you don't have to write 50 of the note cards. And I was like, well, I'm going to go because these note cards are useless. This is just busy work for us. We went. I distinctly remember Randy Spelling basically posing for a photograph of picking up one gum wrapper, and then he didn't do anything for the rest of the day. He was just like, fuck this. And oh my God, Randy Spelling is life coach. Stop this.
In Portland.
Oh God.
Well, as I can see from his life coach site, he was not living authentically.
Was he also disinherited from Aaron Spelling's fortune?
I'm curious now.
Look at this picture of Randy Spelling in his life coach.
I bet he's nice and normal now.
Is being a life coach normal?
It's weird because it's therapy adjacent, and a lot of people get into life coaching because it's a lot cheaper and faster to become a life coach than become a therapist.
Do you think being a life coach is like being a guidance counselor, but for adults?
Yeah, because you're supposed to encourage, but also I think a therapist isn't really supposed to give advice normally. A life coach can give advice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be helpful.
A lot of coaches segment themselves off. Like I know one who describes herself as a confidence coach rather than life, because that's kind of vague. What was he in? What might I have seen him in besides Passions? I mean, I watched Passions and I completely forgot that he was on there.
Dude, his IMDb listing is very brief. He was in Malibu Shores to start, which I think is an Aaron Spelling show. Then Sunset Beach, which was also, I think, an Aaron Spelling show. Then Beverly Hills 90210, 14 episodes. Played two different characters. Wait, was he not even in Passions? Am I like losing my mind? Oh my God.
I don't remember him on there.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was maybe it was Sunset Beach. Okay, that's what it was.
Of course, I have to be on a soap opera because my dad made soap operas.
Dad, it's the family business.
I wanted to be a race car driver. I remember how Jason Priestley was into race car driving.
Yes. Frankie Muniz was super into race car driving.
Yeah, I have a friend on Instagram who her husband does it. And the videos she posts of cars going on the track, Natalia, I hope you're not listening. It just looks incredibly boring.
Wasn't there in the London season of The Real World, wasn't there a guy trying to be a race car driver?
Yes, he is the one. Okay, I was literally thinking about this the other day because my kids will eat almost any vegetable with ranch on it. And I never grew up eating ranch at all.
No, me neither. Ah, gross.
What? Oh, really? I thought it was a Ohio thing.
It is, but I don't like white condiments.
Oh, interesting. Even beige condiments like mayo?
Oh, I hate mayo. It's
Oh.
disgusting to me. I don't like tartar sauce. I don't like ranch. I had to teach myself to like cream cheese just because
Wow.
visually to me, it's just really gross.
That guy, the American guy, and I remember there was an episode of The Real World London where he was just traveling around London trying to find ranch dressing. He couldn't find it anywhere.
That's incredible.
So like literally every day I get out a bottle of ranch. I'm like, can't get this in London.
Like,
only in America, baby.
Every time you think about ranch dressing, you think about the guy from
Maybe
the
half
real
the
world.
time.
That's
I
incredible.
mean, we have this terrifyingly large tub of ranch.
Ugh. Oh God. I remember one time I was in college and I'm going to the dining hall for dinner and they had set up a burger bar. Get burgers. And then they had all of your toppings, you know, your lettuce, your tomato, your onions, and then all of your condiments for the burgers were just all set up next to each other. And they had this big vat of mayo, just like jiggling under the lights. And I turned right back around and left. I was like, I can't, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. This jiggling vat of mayo.
I never used mayo growing up. And one time I saw my cousin eat a spoonful of it and I thought I was going to throw up.
Oh my God.
But as an adult, I grew to like it and now I use it in dressings.
Here's how Midwestern.
Oh, there's a whole subplot about mayo on AP Bio.
Oh, really? Oh, that's incredible.
I mean, not a subplot, like a running gag.
That's funny.
He makes a joke about like, I'm not going to stick around here where people just eat mayo as a condiment by itself.
Because it takes place in Toledo. Oh,
yes.
That's how they work that in. Okay. This is how Midwestern I am. We exclusively ate Miracle Whip.
Which is just kind of a sweet mayo, right?
Yeah, it's tangy.
Because if I go to my parents' house, there's a mayo and then there's a Miracle Whip. And if I accidentally grab the Miracle Whip, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because my dad buys that. I don't know.
My mom used to make potato salad with Miracle Whip.
Seems like you could just take mayo and add sugar yourself. Well, that leads us into what you watched.
Yes, absolutely. And I've been watching a lot. Surprisingly, I watched 2 episodes of AP Bio, which was really funny. I watched that with Aaron and he was loving it. He was really laughing.
Think about the colors.
I don't get it. I see what you're saying. And it's not distracting, but like, especially I guess in the first episode, it's just very, very noticeable. It's just a lot of orange and blue. Are these the school colors of the school? Grasping for straws there. I was like, I don't really get it. But I'm landing on stylistic choice. They wanted to make it look a little bit different than other shows, which it does look a little bit different than other shows, which is nice. Just sensibility wise, it just seems kind of a cut above other shows that I've seen. Mm-hmm. The jokes are really funny. It definitely has an edge. And in this way that's not pandering, it's a network show, but still maintains this edginess to it that is enticing. The gag that Aaron laughed at every single time was when Glenn Hallerton would enter the classroom and just throw an apple anywhere. Aaron laughed at that every single time.
Usually he says something like, and now we're going to start shutting up.
Just shut up now. Now we're sitting down and shutting up.
I don't think this has ever happened to me, but I'm having deep thoughts about this show because I feel that the main character's struggle is between individuality and subsuming your individuality into a group.
Yeah.
He's resisting group culture and becoming part of a community because he wants to accomplish everything on his own. And he's kind of already failed at that. And now he's being offered the opportunity to become part of a group and he is trying to resist it. I guess a common plot of anyone who's trying to get out of a small town, but also the small town's really cute. I mean, it's kind of Schitt's Creek too, I guess.
I guess had I moved back to Cleveland with a different attitude, that would be me. You know, I'm back home. I mean, I never lived in Cleveland, but I'm from Ohio. If I thought of moving to Cleveland, moving back to the state that I was from as some sort of failure, maybe I would have had that attitude, I guess. And maybe that's why we kind of think it's funny. We sort of relate to just being on the outside, escaping and then coming back.
Well, I think when I was younger, I would have identified with, because that's what I wanted too, based on watching all these TV shows. Like, I want to go to New York. All these people in these shows in New York doing fun things, being a cool adult, being where I'm from is lame and blah, blah, blah. But you know, all the data suggests that being part of a supportive community is what makes people happier long term. So it's truly the opposite of what actually makes people happier.
One of the reasons I moved back to Ohio is that it is nicer to be closer to my family, which is so lame. I feel like we still seem like teenagers where we're like, oh, another family obligation. Oh, which we like had taken a pass on for such a long time because we can't go to all of these birthday parties and Father's Days and Mother's Days. We come home for Christmas and that's it. That's all you get of us, but it's sort of nice. I don't know.
I'm totally in agreement with that because I think that you have kids and then you're like, oh wait, I don't have any family around here to help me.
Right.
Sucks. That was a bad idea.
It does suck. There's this support system that used to be just a given for people because people did stay nearby. And so you would have this built-in babysitter and a person that you could really rely on to help you with these small little emergencies that come up all the time when you have kids. And when you don't have that, it's so much harder and so much more stressful.
Well, I'm going to get a little peek into your life and peek into AP Bio when I visit the Cleve. You know what? Wait a minute. I have been to Cleveland.
Have you been to Cleveland? When was that?
I've been to Shaker Heights. No, Chagrin Falls.
Okay, so you
were
that
outside of Cleveland?
Yes.
I flew into Cleveland and drove to Chagrin Falls.
For what?
So I didn't actually, a wedding.
Oh, okay.
Years ago, which is the town that Bill Watterson is from.
That's right.
So yeah, I didn't hang around Cleveland. So this time I'll be staying with you.
So Chagrin's on the east side and I live on the west side. And Cleveland is like a very strange formation. There is basically no north or south. It is a very long and skinny city. The east side and the west side, and never the twain shall meet, basically. It's like two different cities. If you're on the far west side and you're trying to get to the far east side, it takes you an hour. You're driving forever. So
and can we go swimming in the lake?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. I'll bring my
suit. I haven't been to the lake since I got here. So
how many years ago?
3 years. I actually did go to a fancy restaurant on the lake for our anniversary this year.
Nice.
And it's this very cool building that was built in like the 50s. It's very mid-century and it's cantilevered onto the lake. The dining area is just a bunch of
That is like
windows.
the living room from Sybil.
Yes. Incredibly beautiful.
We're going to have a chance to have a 3-day weekend without our kids because my parents said they would take them because now they're older and they can manage them both for
a little bit
nights. But trying to decide where to go is so stressful because lots of pressure. Got to make it good.
You're just like, I don't want to mess this up because this is all I get.
And I don't want to just go somewhere and sit and look at each other. We do that all the time. Like, there has to be some sort of activity. Can't really find any activities within 2 hours of DC. I was looking up resorts and they're just like, come and play golf.
Emily Wade, friend of the podcast, she got me an amazing 40th birthday gift. She got me a gift certificate to the Madonna Inn in San Luis Obispo. Do you know about the Madonna Inn?
No.
Google search it right now. It is this hotel in California. It has theme rooms. It's basically all pink. Basically the gaudiest hotel on the planet. And so we're going to go there together.
Yeah, it basically looks like a Betsy Johnson store.
Basically. Yeah. I think we're going to fly into LA and then drive there and then maybe go.
There's one called the Caveman that has a rock wall shower.
I get to pick the room when we go. That's going to take me a while to figure out which room to go to because there are so many different ones.
Madonna Suite, Yosemite Rock, Caveman, Love Nest, Just Heaven, Jungle Rock. I never heard of this.
Yeah, it's incredible. Emily was the one who told me about it way back when, and I've been obsessed with it for years. So
I remember I heard years ago that Kate, I forget her last name, from the B-52s had a
Pearson.
Kate Pearson had a little motel in the Catskills. Oh, she sold it 11 days ago.
She did?
Listen, wait, it's for sale. Kate Pearson of the B-52s is selling her Catskills motel for $2.2 million.
Oh, Rachel.
It's near Woodstock.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice area.
It's called Kate's Lazy Meadow.
I did also start watching Pen 15, which is a masterpiece.
I watched the first 2 or 3 and I didn't really get that into it.
Oh,
I have to give it another one.
Okay, Rachel, there is an episode.
It might have just been too painful.
It's really funny that I'm watching both AP Bio and Pen 15 at the same time because they feel similar. You know, it's high school, middle school kind of experiences, but one feels like a very guy show and one feels like a very girl show. I was telling Aaron about how much I like Pen 15 and telling him about these different episodes, and I was like, this happens, this happens, this happens. And he's like, I don't want to watch it at all. I don't like middle school. He won't watch that movie 8th grade. He's like, I don't like middle school. I won't watch anything about middle school.
It
Like,
is very
what?
awkward.
He just can't handle it. But there's an episode about AOL Instant Messenger that
I will watch it when I'm done.
you have to watch that because it's like about 7th grade girls getting screen names and going into chat rooms and stuff. And I was like, I relate to this
I did
so hard.
Yes.
There's also an episode where they like steal a thong from someone and they're wearing thongs and like feeling sexy because they have a thong. It felt really real.
I heard that kids don't learn anything in middle school because they're just so insane.
I believe it. Believe it.
Hormonally.
I don't understand people who achieve things. Oh, what a phenom. By 14, they've done such and such. I'm like, how? How did you do that? How were you able to focus on anything? Well, Models Inc.
And this has been Models Inc. with Sliders and Wings. I did check our email. There was nothing there.
I know. Just that we're big in Japan, apparently.
Yeah, they're trying to trick us.
I was like, no, you're just trying to sell us something. I don't believe you. Email us at slidersandwings@gmail.com. We're checking it now. So
Thank you and good night.
thank you and good night. All right,
Bye.
bye, Rachel.